Hi, this is Luminaria Goyer. Today I'd like to share with you some techniques for basic energy balancing. What I'd like for you to keep in mind is that throughout these techniques, you're going to want to remember to breathe. And before you begin any basic energy balancing, make sure you're properly hydrated. So if you have a glass of water handy, take a couple of drinks right now. We're going to start with a very simple technique that I call over energy correction. And we'll begin this by crossing the left ankle over the right. You can't see my feet, but you can understand that part. And then you're going to cross your right wrist over your left, turn your palms to face each other, clasp your hands, and bring them under to rest on your chest, just like this. If for some reason you have difficulties with your shoulders or wrists, any kind of chronic pain, there's a modification that you can do, which is simply to cross your right wrist over your left on your lap, just like so. But I'm going to do the full position, which is this. And what you're going to do once you get your body into this posture is you're going to begin a simple breathing process. And so we'll start the breath breathing in through the nose. As you breathe in through the nose, I'm going to uncross for a moment to explain. As you breathe in through the nose, you'll bring the tongue to touch the roof of your mouth. So if this was the inside of your mouth and these fingers were your tongue, as you breathe in, the tongue will come to the roof of the mouth and you'll breathe in through your nose. And as you breathe out, the tongue will come and rest at the base, and likely you'll need to breathe out through your mouth. And so you'll breathe in, the tongue goes up, breathe out, the tongue goes down. I'm not going to hold this posture for quite that long, but approximately 2 minutes is a good time in order for the energy to move into proper balance. What we're doing here is, in the crossing over one side of the body with the other, is we're balancing the flows between the left and right parts of the body and the left and right hemisphere of the brain. Through the breathing process, where we've got the tongue going up and down as we breathe, we're activating the governing and central meridians of the body, which balance the up and down flow in the body. So this is an overall balance to get your energy flowing in the proper directions. And so I like to close my eyes as I do this, and then you'll simply begin the breathing procedure. As you breathe in, allow yourself to bring in the fullness of the breath, letting it move in through your body and through the molecules, washing over you like a river flows across the sand. As you breathe out, allow yourself to release any tension, the out-breath releasing of thought. As you feel the body and the nervous system begin to soften and calm. Breathe in light. Breathe out anything that no longer serves you. You can hold this posture as long as you'd like. You'll have a sense of when it feels complete. And when it does, you'll uncross your arms and your legs, letting your feet rest on the ground. And bring the tips of each of your fingers to touch each other, just like this. And you can continue with your eyes closed if that's comfortable for you. And for about 30 seconds, do that same breathing procedure, tongue moving up as you breathe in, and resting at the base as you breathe out. So this is over energy correction. I'd like to share with you another energy balancing technique. In this technique, we're also working to balance the left and right sides of the body and the flows of the body up and down by utilizing some particular acupressure points. We're going to start with one hand in the belly button. So you just place one of your hands and let your fingers rest right at the belly button. The other hand will begin, you can use your index finger, that's the one I like, but you can use whichever finger, at the point right underneath the nose, right above the upper lip. And you'll just rub that or tap it, whichever feels easiest for you. I like to rub. And taking a couple of nice, deep cleansing breaths. In this posture, you want to make sure your legs are uncrossed. And the next point we'll do is right underneath the lip, right in that crease. And the same thing, just breathing. A nice couple cleansing breaths. And you'll feel yourself relaxing. Next we'll do the collarbone points. These points are right on the collarbone, but on the underneath side of the bone, and you can use your index and thumb finger and just kind of rub or again tap, whichever you choose, and a couple of nice cleansing breaths. The next place the hand that's moving is going to go is at the base of the sacrum. So that's your tailbone. And what you'll do is you'll just take your hand and you'll massage the base of the tailbone. Again, a couple of nice deep cleansing breaths. And then you simply switch hands and start the whole procedure again. You may find it nice to close your eyes while you do this. That's fine. Sometimes I like my eyes closed. So that's belly button correction. I'd like to share one more basic energy balancing technique with you on this short video. This has two versions. They're both related to relieving stress in the body and also helping with cognitive integration. So very good to utilize if, for example, you feel a little bit overwhelmed, or right before a test if you kind of have studied a lot and everything's kind of jumbling around in your head. Before an interview, if you feel your thoughts racing, this kind of thing. The first modification of this pose is to simply place your hand on your forehead. I call this stress release. And again, I think it's helpful to close your eyes. You might notice for yourself that this is something that people often do when they're stressed. There's a reason. This hand here on the frontal lobe actually begins to quiet the neurological system. and really begins to just bring a sense of ease and calm and integration, really working at the level of the neurology. And so this is stress release, and you can hold that as long as you'd like. Sometimes if I'm in the middle of an intense conversation, or I'm emotionally upset about something when I'm trying to deal with it, I'll just keep my hand here. I'll, position myself so that I can kind of be restful and just allow my hand to stay there. I feel like it helps create some balance. The modification to this pose is to also hold the occipital lobe. The occipital lobe is sort of right at the base of the skull, and this is called frontal-occipital holding the frontal part of the brain and the back part of the brain. And as you hold this pose, again, I would recommend just allowing your eyes to close. And what you will most likely notice is that your head will start to want to move, especially if you've been under stress. This is called unwinding. And if it does, just simply allow it to move where it would like to. The movement may be subtle or gross or not at all, but you'll likely find some movement. Feels good and supportive. Again, you can hold this posture as long as it feels supportive for you. During this posture, frontal-occipital holding, again, your legs will be uncrossed. In almost all of the basic energy balancing techniques, and whenever you're working with energetics, allowing the body to be uncrossed creates an easier flow of energy through the system, unless the pose or body posture is specifically designed to create particular directional flows, in which case you follow the instructions that are given in that particular arena. One thing you can do if you really like your legs crossed is you can sit in yoga mudra, which is with the knees and the legs sort of folded this way. That creates a double crossing in the body, which is also an easy energetic flow. So I hope you enjoy these basic techniques, that you learn to incorporate them into your everyday lives. Over energy correction is very good for high stress, as it sort of indicates, for creating an overall calming in the system. And it really works at the level of brain to create an integration between the left and right hemisphere of the brain. It works to activate the midline of the brain, which is called the corpus callosum, allowing the left and right hemisphere to speak with each other more readily, so that the creative aspect of the mind and the logical aspect of the mind work together in harmony. So over energy correction is very useful when you're about to begin working on a project, or when you're doing something creative and you want to have access to that part of your brain more readily. So that's over energy correction. Belly button correction, as I said, does some similar balancing to over energy correction. It's really, in some ways, for those two, a matter of preference. Or if you're doing pendulum testing, you can certainly test at any given moment which of those techniques is most supportive for you. And then, like I said, stress release and frontal occipital holding, very easy to do and very good for moments of overwhelm. Or sometimes frontal occipital lobe holding can help with, and the unwinding aspect that I talked about, can help with trauma. When you're touching into an old memory that's agitating, it's a good time to do frontal occipital holding. Sometimes I've done that when I'm watching a movie and there's an unexpected sort of violent component to it that jars my system, so that my nervous system can recalibrate and find its way back to balance. So I hope you have a wonderful day or evening, whichever it may be for you, morning, and we'll see you next time. Many blessings.